You can get anything from a 22 to a sawed-off shotgun.
If that's cool for me to sell drugs, then it's even hipper if I carry a piece.
If he got a gun, I'm not gonna let him hurt me. I'm gonna try to hurt him before he hurt me.
We came here today. We came to rock you, and we will shock you. We came to talk about the streets of war, because we can't take it no more.
We've come to accept violence as a way of life, but violence today is different than it was years ago. It's become more sophisticated, and it also involves guns. And all too often, the triggermen are teenagers. In Baltimore City, more than 700 juveniles were arrested last year for gun-related offenses. Police say the numbers have gone down, but the seriousness of the crimes has increased. In the city today, homicide is the main cause of death among black males between the ages of 16 and 24.
A little more than half of the violent crime committed in the city is committed by young men between the age of 16 and 24. Half of the victims of that violent crime are young men between the age of 16 and 24. So we have kind of a generation of young men out there that are just not giving themselves a chance. When you talk to the ones that are involved with the shootings, it's just so unpredictable. There's no clear pattern. You can't say that he was poor and that your model is a poor kid, broken home from a certain area of town, because then you're describing your victims too.
Mike is 20. He was shot earlier this year during an incident involving a young lady.
Fight, right, about a girl and shit, right? Right, like, we was coming down the street, so he tapped on the ass because he knew her, right? And I felt the dog was disrespecting me also as a young lady, right? So, you know, I asked him why he do that, right? He said he do what he want to do, right? So I cracked him in his mouth, right? We got the rumbling, right? So I duked him up a little bit, right? I was going about my business. Somebody said, look out. Right? I thought he was behind me with a stick or something. I did like this to try to block whatever he had, right? And he shot me, right, in my hand, right? And shit, so I just ran to the hospital, right?
So what happened later?
About a month later, I seen him in the park, laid out on the bench, right? So I jumped on him, right? And duped him up and shit, real good, right? Broke his jaw and shit.
You ever shot someone before?
Yeah, once.
How long ago was that?
It's when I was about 14, 15.
Did you hit the person or just shoot at him?
I shot.
Did you kill the person?
Nah, in the thigh. Just shot him in the thigh.
Why'd you shoot someone?
Huh?
Why'd you shoot?
About my parents, right? Because I'm the only boy, right? And God respect my people, so I felt as though that had to be rectified.
Why do most people carry a gun? Is it for status, protection?
Some people carry them for protection. Some people carry them out of fear. Some people carry them for flint.
For flint?
Yeah, flint is a word like you're not scared, but you're not sure because the impossible's possible. Right, that's what flint mean.
What kind of gun do you prefer if you use a gun?
25 automatic.
Why?
Because it's small, I could put it in my pocket, and if I really wanted to hurt you, I wouldn't know where to hit you at with it.
Small caliber handguns like this are preferred by young gunmen and can easily be stored in their back pocket like this.
Well, I was walking down the street just being real cool when I heard my homeboy got stuck up for his shoes. He said, you don't want my shoes, you want it fight. But it took too long, so they took his life.
It is very easy to conceal the fact that you have a small handgun. Our concern about the Saturday night special and about banning the Saturday night special in this city and in the state, really, focused primarily on the youth violence problem, that seemed to be the weapon of choice for young people, let's say, moving in and out of school buildings or trying to conceal it on the street.
Why are guns more readily available now?
A lot of it because of the drug traffic, that the drugs are more available and plentiful, and we've just had people enforcing their drug transactions with guns. And then what they do generally is that they don't want to keep hold of that particular weapon, and so it gets in circulation in sort of an underground market. And then the other clear factor is that we've had more legitimate owners of weapons than we've had in many years, and a lot of house burglaries where the guns get stolen. And those guns go into circulation.
Are there gangs of youths out there who may carry weapons and be into violent acts?
Well, sometimes we have young people associated because of this drug traffic that I talked about. We have been fortunate in not having the kind of organized gang battles that other cities have experienced. I guess like Chicago and Los Angeles come to mind as major gang areas. We have not, historically have not had it, and we don't have it now. I think what's clear and what always concerns us is that the combination of a teenager with guns and drugs is a volatile mix.
How much do guns and drugs go together?
Like brother and sister.
How so?
How so? Because see, if you sell drugs, then if the average person look at it, well, if I sell drugs, that's cool, right? Okay. If that's cool for me to sell drugs, then it's even hipper if I carry a piece, right? That's the way some people look at it, right? Then you got some guys that look at it like this. Well, I sell drugs, so to protect my interests, I carry a gun and make a whole lot of everything out of a little bit of nothing.
You find guns from drug dealers, pushers, anybody that has one, you can get one from.
What, do you buy it or do you rent it, or you
buy it, you rent it. You could buy it from him and then sell it again. Or you could rent it from him and then rent it again.
David is a recent junior high school graduate who lives with his mother and sister. Okay, you say drugs and guns go kind of together, right?
Yeah.
You ever get high?
Sometimes, most of the time. My friends, when I'm with my friends pounding around, they buy their reefer, we get high, that's it.
What you get high? Just reefer only?
Just reefer. Not like some of my friends, they go as far as cocaine, and that's when they get into debts with the pushers, and the pushers come around, that's where the guns get involved. See, you get into debt. You really don't need money to get drugs. You can say, give me a cap on the arm, and he'll give it to you, knowing that you probably won't even pay him back.
Give you a cap on the arm, and they give it to you.
And knowing that you probably won't even be able to pay him back. Then when he come looking for you, you only got one chance to give him your money.
Or else what?
Else you die. Point blank, you die.
Are these pushers your ages, or are they older people?
They mostly older people getting people my age to sell it.
You know you might be neat in the life, high and mighty, but dealing in these things that take control of your body.
The trend is to employ juveniles.
Sergeant Andre Street heads the city's Special Tactics and Operations Unit, the Stop Squad.
If a juvenile gets arrested, they don't have to worry about bail money. Okay. Most of the times, if it's the first, second, and even sometimes a third offense, all you have to do is call the parent and you sign them off to them. So that saves bail money. A lot of times, you know, these kids are hung up on this fancy sweatsuits and tennis shoes and things of that nature. He can pay a kid 14, 15 years of age $100, $200, $300 a week. That's a lot of money. And the kid said, why should I sit in school when I can make that kind of money just bringing a drug dealer customers? You see, it's unfortunate, but the media, and especially movies like Scarface, Miami Vice, they have made the gun, you know, a very glamorous type thing to have, especially when you're a kid growing up in this type of atmosphere. You know, there's not too many exciting things you have in life, and these are the unfortunate things that they're patterning their lives after, that Miami Vice and that Scarface syndrome.
The city's projects have become a haven for drug dealing. Dealers and their teenage workers often rule the halls and stairways, making life difficult and dangerous. Phyllis Smith has lived in Murphy Homes since 1980. 2 years ago, her oldest son was involved in a shootout.
Him and a guy that used to live here had a disagreement, and they defied him to come back in the building. He came back. And when he came back with some friends. And they had a shootout.
They had a shootout?
A shootout.
In the building?
Outside.
Your son had a gun?
Of course he did.
Were you aware that he had a gun?
No. I didn't know what was going on. I heard the shots, you know, and when somebody banged on the door, and when he came in, he had the gun in his hand. And without thinking, I grabbed him.
Had Zach actually shot the gun?
I imagine so. I didn't inspect it, you know, but I imagine so. It was a shootout.
Your son was involved in a shootout. What did you do with the weapon? Did you take the gun from him, or?
I'm afraid of guns. No, I talked to him until I calmed him down. You know, he kept saying that they're not going to stop me from coming here, you know, but I was upset the whole night. I didn't sleep.
We have territories down here. One group sells on one floor, another group sells on the north stairwell, and you don't infringe upon it. A kid will defend his dealer with his life. I mean, it's just, you know, the peer pressure. Hey, I work for so-and-so, and you're not going to step on my turf. And it all goes back to what the norms and values are, you know, and it's unfortunate that in this particular area, the norms and values say you know, you stand up for yourself in that manner, no matter what age you are. You can't be bullied around. Once you're bullied around, you're taken advantage of, and you can't live here.
Most dealers don't live in the projects, but come daily to peddle their drugs. Some residents let them use their apartments. Others call the stop squad.
What we do every once in a while to try to keep them honest, we come in and flush the building out. See, they have a system here in the high-rises, and it's posted, no trespassing. If you're going to visit someone, you have to go to the guard booth and sign in. And most of the people that are going in for illicit means don't sign in. So what we do, we go in and we check all the floors, those that we determine not to be there on legitimate business, and we can somehow connect them with drug business, usually get trespassing charges or drug charges if we find drugs on them.
No brown on the paper? There's no brown on the paper. You came in, you got it. You realize that judge said if you get caught back in this building, you will spend a year in jail.
All right, when you're 15 or younger and you get pulled in the police station, the police get mad at you because you're younger and they can't really do too much about it. And what happens is your parents come up there and get you, and you go home till they send you a court summons, or else until the police station send you into one of their counseling programs that they have up there. Because the cop don't feel like going to court and hearing the judge say, well, we'll give him probation. You know, it's a waste of the cop's time, so he put you in the counseling program that they got up Western District. And most of the kids know this and the pussies know this, so they give people 15 and younger to sell their drugs for them, stand up on the corner. And then when the police pick them up, there's not much that they can do about it. They gotta wait till let the courts handle.
Last year in city public schools, there were 66 reported handgun incidents. 2 were fatal.
We're not talking necessarily about 66 guns in classrooms. About half actually occur in the building, and the other half are either on the grounds or in the streets in the vicinity. Those things that happen in the building are more likely to be simple possession, where someone either tells one of our officers or our officer makes an observation and through stop and frisk comes up with a weapon. It's not used, in other words. The use, assault with deadly weapons, or the armed robberies are much more likely to occur outside on the grounds or on the streets in the vicinity. Most of the various shootings and so forth don't really have anything to do with the school where they occur. The 2 this year stemmed from incidents that began in the community and were resolved at school, tragically resolved. The past 2 years, we have seen a considerable reduction. By considerable, I mean 2 years ago we had 122 incidents involving a handgun in any way in or around our schools. Each of the past 2 school years, we had 66 such incidents. So that's a significant reduction. But 66 incidents around a school of the presence of a handgun is not acceptable.
Aaron is not one of the numbers, but he did carry a gun to school.
I had some problems with some boys up here where they had got to shooting at my cousin one day up here outside of school, so I didn't want to see my cousin get hurt, so I brought a gun to school. And if he had to shoot somebody, I was going to get it to him. Or I'd have shot him.
Are you scared to shoot someone?
No.
It wouldn't make any difference if you shot someone?
I mean, if he got a gun, I'm not going to let him hurt me. I'm going to try to hurt him before he hurt me.
What kind of gun did you have?
22 automatic.
Where do you keep it when it's at home? When you're at home?
Well, it was my mother's gun to protect the house. I had took it.
She knew you took the gun?
No.
What would she say if she knew you took the gun?
Probably beat the hell out of me. See.
You carried the gun to school?
Yes.
Where'd you put the gun when you brought it to school?
Took the sole out of my tennis shoe and put it inside.
You took the sole out of your tennis shoe and put the gun in there?
And just tied it back up.
Were you worried about getting caught with a gun?
Not at that time, but because nobody didn't know, so I didn't have to worry about getting caught if I didn't just run off my mouth. Let everybody know that I had a gun in school. I just kept to myself.
But you told people that you had a gun, or you didn't?
No, I didn't say nothing. I just kept to myself.
Did many students bring guns to school?
Only the ones that's supposed to have been fighting.
On an everyday basis, do people bring a gun to school?
No.
Most of the younger kids, and I'm talking about the 12-year-olds, the 13-year-olds that we might find with a weapon, have brought it in more as show and tell than to use a weapon. They're Mr. Macho. Those people who use them tend to be older, 15, 16, 17 years old. And older than that, of course. We get some adults around the schools. I have seen a dangerous lessening, shall we say, of young people's respect, not just for the property of others, but for the very lives of other people. We've seen more, hey, you rolled your eyes at me, and pull a weapon. You insulted me in some way, and pull a weapon. The kinds of things that kids used to resolve, boys in particular, with the fists, and then it would be forgotten about. But you see, if you pull a gun and pull the trigger, we don't forget about that tomorrow and go play ball together.
You ever seen any kids younger than you with guns?
Yes, plenty of times.
You ever see them use the guns?
Well, twice, yes.
What happened then?
Well, inside of a party, if somebody steps on your shoe and they don't say, excuse me, a fight just lead out from there. Then they get you outside whenever. Then they just start shooting at you. They don't care who's in the way.
I think that the media, entertainment programming, has something to do with it. I won't mention a particular program, but when you can see in a 1-hour entertainment show as much ammunition expended as perhaps was used in the Vietnam War, and everybody walks away, nobody ever falls down with their head blown off, I think that gives kids a misperception of violence and the use of weapons. I think the decline in the strength of the family over the past 30 years. I think the accent on materialism in our society has something to do with it.
Anybody ever pull a gun on you?
Yes, at one time.
What happened?
Well, I got stuck up for a coat.
For a coat?
Yeah, a lamb coat when they first came out. They stuck me up for a lamb coat. My mother had just brought me a lamb coat and I got stuck up for that.
Now this is the business that I'm telling you all. If we don't straighten up, the whole world will fall.
There's a serious loss of young people in our society today. And unless we, the people and the leadership, come and address that issue, we're not going to have a youth generation.
Reverend Willie Ray started the Stop the Killing Coalition last year after 3 teenagers were shot and killed.
I think that we are lacking positive role models in the city. I think that when you have these negative role models or guys who give the false appearance of success, that number one turns our kids around. So I think when you get other people, be it elected officials, politicians, ministers, businessmen, educators, laborers, to come together collectively and to be visible and available to a lot of our kids, then they can see other avenues of success. Okay, that's number one. Of course, number two is employment, jobs and job training and programs. We got a group of kids who are on the corner right now working somewhere, learning the values of a hard day's work and the value of earning your own money, earning your way through life and not looking for somebody to give you something. It's attitude, Robert. I would just spell it out. It's attitude. A job will give a kid a sense of values, a sense of direction. It'll change his whole mode and perspective of life.
You usually have a higher level of violent crime in your communities that are at the lowest ends of the socioeconomic scale. It's got nothing to do with race. It's got everything to do with class. That being said, though, the decision to commit a crime is still an individual one.
You been in trouble before?
Mm-hmm.
You been to jail?
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
I beat the police with a golf club. They gave me 10 years.
You beat a police officer with a golf club?
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Why?
He stuck his hand in my mother's face. You know, white man stuck his hand in my mother's face. I was playing across the street, and we was playing with a golf club, hitting the ball in the sky, right? And he stuck his hand in my mother's face. You know, he asked my mother a question, and I guess she must have told him she didn't know or something, right? And he told my mother to like this, right? So I ran over there and cracked him, right? Then after I hit him once, I see well, shit, I done broke the law once, I might as well keep on breaking. I whooped his ass. So I went to court. Judge sentenced me to 10 years. I'm just coming home.
How long you been home from jail?
Since December.
And not all poor kids are going to get in trouble. But if you had to predict, you'd say that you will have a higher incidence of crime out of your poorest community, which gets back to old liberal notions, but they are true, that jobs are the key. I mean, that employment is still a major factor here, and you start to increase the economic level of the community, you're going to start to decrease the incidence of violent crime.
Are you looking for a job currently?
Every day. That's the only way I can stay out of trouble.
We have spoiled our kids. We have let our kids pimp us and psych us. And we got to draw the line to let these youngsters know that there's a price in crime. We got to let them know there's no glamour in cocaine, that they're not immortal because they're young. I think all of these things have to be highlighted to let these kids know that their life is at stake and at risk when they're out here glamoring and partying and jeopardizing their freedom. We can recall this generation, your generation now, if a certain positive role model walked down the street, okay, and we saw that person, we changed our actions if we were doing something naughty. And we have to regain that kind of respect. But if we are not available and all you have is the pimp and the hustler and the pusher and they become the friends and the role models, what you expect?
Aren't you scared sometimes when you see little kids carrying guns or little kids with guns? What do you think is you being...
I try to influence them, man, you know, try to tell them something that's beneficial, you know.
Are you setting an example for kids, though, if you get in trouble?
No.
Do you try to set examples for youngsters?
Yes, I do. Sit down, talk to them, take them, come play ball sometime.
A handgun does not make you a man. There's nothing that you can hold in your hand or nothing that you can try and point at somebody that makes you a man. A man comes from in here. A man comes from the way you carry yourself. The respect that you have for yourself, the respect that others have for you.
Concerned community leaders and activists are taking their crusades to schools and talking to teenagers.
And since the problem has been occurring with many of those between the ages of, say, 14 to 19, you know, through that age group, we felt that the best way to reach them would be in school. They are really anxious to let out some of the aggressions and some of the things that they have felt before, and that comes in terms of, well, what can we do, you know, what's this and that.
If it was somebody in your family killed, would you be afraid of them coming?
I'm gonna tell, yeah.
I'm talking about if you thought that somebody was going to come after you because of the fact that you let somebody after me, would you say anything?
I'm tell, yeah.
Even if you knew, wait a minute, listen to me. Even if you knew somebody was coming at you, even if you knew that, you still tell, wouldn't you? If it was somebody in your family, why do you have to wait for that? Why do you have to wait?
Because he might not be coming at me.
But the only reason you won't do it is because it wasn't nobody in your family and you get afraid. What I'm trying to get you to see is, why wait for that? Why be afraid then and then be brave now? What's the difference? What?
Somebody getting killed in your family and somebody not.
But that's the problem. What I'm trying to get you all to see is that is the main problem that's out here today, is that we don't care anything about one another.
To a great extent, we've lost one of the key law enforcement tools, and that's just family control. And the extended family control of the neighborhood watching out for the children. We've got block watch programs and stuff like that to watch out if you see strangers in there. But I'm talking about a neighborhood kind of watching out for its children and making sure that its children are safe and doing the right thing. We've kind of lost that, and I guess what we're getting at is that we haven't filled that gap yet, and I don't know how we're going to fill it.
How old was your cousin?
He'd have been 17 this year.
He got shot and killed about 2 months ago.
Yeah, about 2-3 months ago.
Where'd the shooting occur?
Right across the street by his house.
What happened there?
Well, he was counting money, and all of a sudden, somebody just came up from out of nowhere, and he had need a boy, and the boy was like playing with the gun. He told him to stop playing with the gun. Then all of a sudden, he just kept on playing. Said, man, I told you to stop playing with the gun. And the gun just went off and just shot him in the stomach.
And your cousin died?
No, he ain't down the spot. He ran from there over to my grandmother's house, and they rushed him to the hospital. Before they rushed him to the hospital, they worked in him inside the ambulance for like a good hour because he was bleeding too bad.
Yeah.
And he just died in the hospital the next day.
Did that scare you a lot?
Yeah, it woke me up because it took all of that. It took him to, to get killed to see what really happened with them guns.
Hey, and now I won't delay. Always no time, so I'ma get to the point, and the point is crime. But so please don't do it. That's a lesson you learn. And if you don't watch the step, you'll get a jail term. Now what I said before was a serious sort. Crime really makes you tense with a reason of source. You can pull out your weapons, but remember one thing: if you make a mistake at your funeral, they'll sing. Well, I was looking at the news and the person was killed, and when I told them outside, all they said was big deal. I said you need a head to see it like through, cause it can happen to me and it can happen to you. You see, life is really hard when you face the true facts, and killing someone it keeps the pressure on your back. Now this is the business that I'm telling you all. If we don't straighten up, the whole world will fall. Well, I was walking down the street just being real cool when I heard my homeboy got stuck up for his shoes. He said, you don't want my shoes, you want it fight. But it took too long, so they took his life.